The first crack in my family didn't sound like thunder. It sounded like a soft laugh. A polite one. Controlled. Almost kind. We got married yesterday. My daughter-in-law said it with a smile so calm, so perfectly placed, that for a second I thought I'd misheard her. We were standing in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd burned my fingers baking cupcakes for her bridal shower that never happened, where I'd folded napkins in colors she liked, where I'd prayed quietly that blending our families would be gentle. Yesterday. Not we're planning. Not we eloped because love surprised us. Yesterday. The word sat between us like broken glass on polished wood. I remember gripping the back of a chair because the room tilted. The kettle was screaming on the stove, forgotten. Outside, the maple tree shed red leaves onto my driveway, as if the world was shedding too. And there she was, Ilara, with her ash blonde hair tucked neatly behind her ears, her posture straight, her eyes unreadable. My son, Rowan, stood beside her. Silent. Pale. Avoiding my eyes. I should have known then that the wedding wasn't the real beginning. It was the cover story. Rowan is my only child. I raised him in a quiet suburb outside Portland, the kind of place where neighbors wave and mean it, where lawns are trimmed and secrets are buried under layers of politeness. I was a single mother by choice, or at least that's what I told people. The truth was messier. His father left when Rowan was 4, leaving behind a toolbox, a dent in the garage door, and a lesson I carried into motherhood: pay attention to what people don't say. So I paid attention when Rowan met Ilara. She arrived in his life like a breeze, unannounced, pleasant, hard to hold. He brought her to Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago. She wore a cream sweater and boots too clean for November rain. She complimented my cooking just enough. She laughed at the right moments. She helped clear the table without being asked. Everyone loved her. I wanted to. But there was something about how she watched rooms before entering them. How she listened longer than she spoke. How her smile never quite reached her eyes. Rowan was smitten in a way that scared me. He was 30, successful, grounded, or so I thought. But with Ilara, he leaned into her words like they were oxygen. When she spoke, he stopped breathing. Still, when he told me he was proposing, I hugged him and cried the right tears. I asked what kind of wedding they wanted. Big? Small? Backyard? Destination? Ilara squeezed his hand and said, "We're still deciding." That was 6 months ago. There were no decisions after that. Just delays. Excuses. And then, yesterday. Yesterday. I finally managed, my voice thinner than it should have been. As in, courthouse. Ilara nodded. Just us. It felt right. Rowan shifted. Mom, we didn't want the pressure. Pressure. I'd offered to help. I'd offered space. I'd offered money, even, something I rarely did. Not control. Support. I turned to my son. You couldn't tell me. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Ilara stepped in smoothly. We wanted it to be intimate. No expectations. Expectations. Another word that felt like an accusation. I forced a smile back. Years of practice as a woman in rooms where I didn't belong had taught me how to perform grace under discomfort. Well, I said, congratulations. She reached out and hugged me. Her perfume was subtle, woodsy, expensive. When she pulled away, she looked relieved. That should have scared me more than it did. The first thing Ilara did after the wedding wasn't unpack gifts or post photos. There were none. She changed the locks. Rowan called me that evening, voice too casual. Hey, Mom, just a heads up. We're making a few changes to the house. New start, you know. What kind of changes? I asked. Nothing big. The next morning, my key didn't work. I stood on the porch of the house I'd helped him buy, helped him paint, helped him fix the leaky sink, helped him survive his first heartbreak. The house where I'd been welcome without knocking. I called Rowan. No answer. I texted Ilara. The key doesn't work. Everything okay? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Yes, just settling in. That smile. Again. I tried to tell myself I was overreacting. Newlyweds deserved privacy. Boundaries were healthy. But boundaries don't feel like exile. Weeks passed. Invitations stopped. Sunday dinners disappeared. Rowan's calls grew shorter. When I asked about work, he said, busy. When I asked about Ilara, he said, fine. When I asked if I'd done something wrong, he went quiet. The silence felt deliberate. Then the rumors started. A neighbor, Marlene, who walked her dog past Rowan's house twice a day, mentioned seeing a moving truck. Not furniture. Files. Boxes labeled records. Another neighbor asked if Rowan had changed jobs. She'd heard he was working from home now. Late nights. Strange visitors. When I finally confronted him, he sounded rehearsed. Ilara's consulting. It's temporary. Consulting in what? He didn't answer. The first real betrayal came disguised as concern. Ilara invited me to lunch. She chose a minimalist cafe downtown, concrete floors, quiet music, menus without prices. She ordered for both of us. I hope you understand, she said gently, folding her napkin. Rowan needs space to grow. Grow from what? From me? I've supported him his whole life, I said carefully. I know, she replied. And that's the problem. The words landed softly. Deadly. She leaned in. Some relationships don't survive marriage. They compete. Compete. With respect, I said, I'm his mother. She smiled. Exactly. Then she slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a legal document. Power of attorney. Temporary, it said. Granted to Ilara. For emergencies, she explained. Rowan agreed. I stared at the signature. It was his handwriting. I knew it anywhere. My hands shook. Why wasn't I told? She met my eyes fully this time. Cold. Calculated. Because you would have tried to stop it. That was the moment I realized Ilara hadn't married into our family. She had entered it like a strategist enters a city, quietly, decisively, with plans already drawn. I left the cafe without finishing my food. That night, I couldn't sleep. Memories replayed themselves differently now, moments I'd dismissed as quirks revealing sharper edges. Ilara correcting Rowan in public. Redirecting conversations. Isolating him, inch by inch, with kindness sharp enough to cut. I decided to dig. I started where all modern secrets hide, online. Ilara's past was curated. No childhood photos. No tagged family. Her education records existed, but just barely. Her previous employment. A consulting firm that dissolved 2 years ago. I found a forum post from someone with her uncommon last name, Betrayal. A warning, buried deep. If you're thinking of trusting her, don't. She doesn't just marry men. She absorbs them. The post was deleted an hour after I found it. My phone rang. Rowan. Mom, he said, breathless. You need to stop. Stop what? I asked, heart pounding. Digging. Ilara knows. Knows what? Before I could ask, the line went dead. And for the first time since that smile in my kitchen, I felt something colder than hurt. I felt fear. Because whatever Ilara did next, she was already 3 steps ahead of me. By the time Rowan told me to stop digging, I had already crossed a line I didn't know existed. Fear does strange things to a mother. It sharpens instincts you thought age had dulled. It makes you remember every warning you ignored, because love felt easier than suspicion. That night, after the call dropped, I sat alone in my living room, lights off, laptop glowing. My reflection walked in the dark screen like a woman I didn't recognize. Ilara Virel. I whispered her name as if saying it too loudly might summon her. I went deeper. Her social media was flawless, curated smiles, clean captions, years of silence between posts. No messy friends. No tagged exes. No parents commenting heart emojis. Just Rowan. Everywhere. As if she'd stepped into existence the moment she met my son. I found a wedding registry. Not public. Private. The items weren't romantic. No china sets. No throw pillows. It was all practical. Filing cabinets. Fireproof safes. A high-end paper shredder. Software subscriptions labeled compliance and data vault. My stomach tightened. This wasn't a love story. This was a setup. 2 days later, I drove to Rowan's house unannounced. I told myself I was doing it for him. To check in. To remind him I was still here. But the truth was darker. I wanted to see what had changed. I wanted proof that my fear wasn't paranoia. The driveway was empty. New security cameras blinked red above the garage. The windows were covered from the inside, frosted film where there used to be curtains I helped pick out. I rang the bell. Nothing. I knocked. Footsteps approached. The door opened just enough for Ilara's face to appear. She didn't look surprised. Hi, she said softly. You should have called. I tried, I replied. The key doesn't work. She nodded. We changed the locks. I know. Silence stretched between us. Is Rowan home? I asked. She hesitated, just a fraction of a second. He's resting. Resting from what? I won't stay long, I said. I just want to see him. Her eyes flicked past me, down the street, then back. Now isn't a good time. I felt something snap inside me. He's my son. And he's my husband. The door closed. Not slammed. Just closed. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at my reflection in the glass, the outline of a woman erased from her own child's life. When I finally turned away, my phone buzzed. A message from Rowan. Please don't come by without asking. You're stressing, Ilara. Stressing. As if I were a loud noise, not a lifetime. That night, I cried the kind of tears that don't make sound. The kind that feel like drowning quietly so no one can accuse you of making a scene. I thought about walking away. About respecting boundaries. About letting my son live his life. But mothers don't stop being mothers because someone else decides we're inconvenient. So I did the one thing Ilara couldn't monitor. I called someone from my past. His name was Marcus Hale. We hadn't spoken in over 10 years. Marcus used to be a financial compliance investigator, sharp mind, tired eyes, the kind of man who noticed patterns others dismissed. We dated briefly after Rowan left for college. It ended gently. No drama. Just two people moving in different directions. When he answered, his voice was cautious. "This is unexpected." "I wouldn't call if it wasn't serious," I said. He listened. Really listened. When I told him about the registry, the dissolved firm, the power of attorney, the locks, the silence. When I finished, he didn't tell me I was imagining things. "That firm you mentioned," he said slowly. "I remember it." My heart thudded. "From where?" "It was flagged. Years ago. Shell Consulting. Used to funnel assets during mergers. Spouses. Family members. Quiet transfers." I gripped the phone. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying some people don't marry for love. They marry for access." "Access? To my son? To his finances? To his life? Can you look into her?" I asked. There was a pause. "I can try," he said. "But if she's good, she'll know." I think she already does. The next twist came from an unexpected place. Rowan's bank. I received a call I almost ignored, a number I didn't recognize. The woman on the line sounded apologetic. "Ms. Calder," she said, "we're calling regarding a discrepancy on a joint account." "I don't have a joint account," I replied. There was one listed as inactive. "With your son?" My breath caught. What kind of discrepancy? A withdrawal request that was paused due to unusual activity. "How much?" She hesitated. "6 figures." The room spun. "I didn't authorize anything," I said. "Neither did your son," she replied quietly. "At least, not directly." I hung up and called Rowan immediately. No answer. I drove. This time, I didn't stop at the door. I went around back. The gate was locked. New. The old maple tree still leaned close enough to the fence for someone determined. I climbed. I scraped my hand. Didn't care. Inside, the house felt wrong. Too quiet. Too clean. The smell of disinfectant instead of coffee. Furniture rearranged to face inward, away from windows. I heard voices upstairs. Ilara's voice, low, urgent. "And if she tries anything else, we accelerate." Rowan's voice sounded dull. Like someone underwater. "I don't want to hurt her." "You're not," Ilara replied. "You're protecting us." "Us?" I stepped back, heart pounding. Something creaked. Ilara's voice sharpened. "Did you hear that?" Footsteps. The door flew open. Rowan stared at me, shock giving way to something worse, fear. "Mom," he whispered. "What are you doing here?" Ilara appeared behind him, eyes blazing. "This is trespassing," she said calmly. "You need to leave." I looked at my son. Really looked. His eyes were red-rimmed. His shoulders slumped. A bruise bloomed faintly on his wrist, half hidden by his sleeve. "Are you okay?" I asked. Ilara answered for him. "He's fine." Rowan didn't speak. I took a step forward. Ilara's hand tightened on his arm. And in that moment, I knew. Whatever this marriage was, it wasn't safe. And whatever Ilara did next, she wasn't done taking from us. 2 hours later, Marcus called back, his voice no longer calm. "I found her," he said. "But you're not going to like who she really is." "I found her," Marcus said again, slower this time, like he was choosing each word carefully. But you need to understand something before I tell you. I was sitting in my car 2 blocks away from Rowan's house, hands still shaking, my scraped palm throbbing. The image of Ilara's hand clamped around my son's arm replayed on a loop in my mind. Understand what? I asked. That Ilara Virel isn't her first name. And it might not even be her real one. The streetlights flickered on as dusk settled. I felt suddenly exposed, like she could see me wherever I was. Then who is she? I whispered. Marcus exhaled. She's done this before. Marcus sent me a secure file that night. I waited until I was home, doors locked, blinds drawn. When I opened it, my screen filled with documents, court filings, business registrations, marriage certificates. Different states. Different men. Same handwriting. Same smile in photos, cropped carefully from wedding announcements that had since been scrubbed from the internet. She cycles identities every 5 to 7 years, Marcus explained over the phone. Minor name changes. New hair color. New city. She targets men with clean credit, family money, or pending career growth. Engineers. Consultants. Mid-level executives. My son is an environmental engineer, I said numbly. I know, Marcus replied. That's why I kept digging. There it was. A marriage certificate from 6 years ago in Colorado. Her name then, Alina Vorel. Divorced 18 months later. The husband filed a sealed complaint alleging financial coercion and emotional manipulation. Case dismissed after settlement. Another marriage in Ontario. Name, Elaine Viren. No complaint. The husband moved overseas shortly after. Bankruptcy followed within a year. The last one ended quietly in Vermont. The man died suddenly. Heart condition. She inherited everything. My stomach turned. She doesn't steal outright, Marcus continued. She isolates. Gains legal access. Encourages decisions that look voluntary on paper. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it's too late, or too expensive to fight. I thought of Rowan's dull eyes. His silence. The power of attorney. She's draining him, I said. Yes, Marcus replied. And she's accelerating. I didn't sleep that night. Every memory replayed with new meaning. Ilara insisting Rowan combine accounts for simplicity. Ilara suggesting he step back from friends who didn't support the marriage. Ilara volunteering to manage paperwork, because she was better with details. I had raised Rowan to be kind. To trust. To believe love meant partnership, not control. That kindness was now being used against him. At dawn, I made a decision that terrified me. I went to a lawyer. Her name was Judith Klein, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who didn't waste time on comfort when truth mattered more. She listened without interrupting as I laid everything out. When I finished, she leaned back. If what you're saying is accurate, your son is in a coercive relationship. Can I help him? I asked. Legally. Not without his consent, she said. Unless there's evidence of incapacity or abuse. I thought of the bruise. Emotional coercion is hard to prove, Judith continued. But financial manipulation leaves a trail. What kind of trail? Paper. And pressure. She slid a card across the desk. If you want to protect him, you need him to talk. And you need him away from her. Away. That was the impossible part. Ilara struck first. 2 days later, I was served with a notice. A restraining order request. Filed by Ilara Virel-Calder. The allegations were clinical and cruel: harassment, trespassing, emotional distress. She claimed I was unstable, obsessed, unwilling to accept boundaries. Rowan was listed as a supporting witness. I stared at his name until my eyes burned. The hearing was scheduled for the following week. My phone rang immediately after. Ilara. I almost didn't answer. Almost. Please stop, she said softly when I picked up. No anger. No threat. Just quiet authority. You're hurting Rowan. You're isolating him, I snapped. You're draining his accounts. She sighed, as if disappointed. This is why he didn't want you involved. Put him on the phone. He's resting. Again. You've crossed a line, she continued. If you keep pushing, you'll lose him completely. I laughed then. A short, broken sound. You already took him. No, she said calmly. I protected him from you. The call ended. Minutes later, Marcus texted me. She knows you talked to a lawyer. My blood ran cold. The hearing loomed like a storm. I gathered everything: documents from Marcus, bank records, screenshots, timelines. Judith warned me not to overwhelm the judge. Focus on behavior, she said. Not theories. But how do you explain a woman who turns love into leverage? The night before the hearing, I received an email from Rowan. No subject. Just text. I need to see you. Alone. Tomorrow morning. Before court. My heart leapt and shattered all at once. Where? I typed back. A cafe near the river. 7 a.m. No signature. I barely slept. I arrived early, hands wrapped around a mug I didn't drink. When Rowan walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. He'd lost weight. His shoulders were hunched, his face drawn. He looked older than his 31 years. He sat across from me and stared at the table. I didn't sign the restraining order, he said quietly. Relief flooded me. Rowan. She prepared it, he continued. She said it was for safety. That you were spiraling. I reached for his hand. He flinched. I need you to listen, I said. Everything I'm doing is to protect you. I know, he whispered. That's why this hurts. Hurt how? He swallowed. She says if I don't testify, she'll leave. And if she leaves, everything collapses. What collapses? Our life, he said, voice cracking. The business plans. The investments. The future. I leaned in. Rowan, what investments? His eyes flicked up, fearful. She's moving money, he admitted. But she says it's temporary. Strategic. Did you agree to the withdrawals? No, he said. But I signed documents. I didn't read them carefully. My chest ached. She's done this before, I said gently. You're not the first. He shook his head. She said you'd lie. I slid Marcus's file across the table. He stared at it. Opened it. Scrolled. His face drained of color. This isn't real, he murmured. It is, I said. And you're in danger. He closed the folder slowly. She said if I leave, he whispered, she'll destroy you. I felt my breath catch. How? She has recordings, he said. She told me she's been documenting you. Editing things. I thought of my raised voice. My desperate pleas. How easily context could be twisted. She said she'll make sure you never see me again. Silence swallowed us. Then Rowan did something that broke my heart. He pushed the folder back to me. "I can't," he said. "Not yet." I stared at him. "Rowan. I need time," he pleaded. "Just, please. Testify that you'll leave us alone." "If I do that," I said, "she wins." He stood up, tears in his eyes. "She already has." He walked out. I sat there long after he was gone, shaking. In court, Ilara was perfect. Soft-spoken. Composed. Concerned. She spoke about boundaries. Mental health. Healing. Rowan testified, carefully. Not against me. Not for me. Just enough to sound conflicted. The judge granted a temporary order. Distance. Limited contact. I was ordered to stay away from my son. As the gavel struck, Ilara met my eyes. She smiled. Not the polite one. The victorious one. That night, Marcus called again. "I've got something," he said. "But it changes everything." "What?" I asked. "She's not just after Rowan's money," he said. "She's using his firm as a front." "For what?" "For laundering." My knees buckled. And Marcus added quietly, "Law enforcement is already watching. If this blows up, Rowan could go down with her." The room spun. "So what do we do?" I asked. Marcus paused. "We make her think she's won," he said. "And then we trap her." I closed my eyes, tears slipping free. Because to save my son, I might have to lose him first. The next morning, I received a message from Ilara, short, chilling, and unmistakably clear. "I hope you're ready to cooperate. Because if you don't, the next move won't be legal." Ilara's message sat on my phone like a loaded weapon. I didn't reply. Marcus told me not to. Judith told me not to. Every instinct in me screamed to fight back, to expose her, to warn Rowan louder, harder, but instinct was what Ilara fed on. Emotion. Reaction. Panic. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done as a mother. I went silent. I cancelled the appeal. I complied fully with the restraining order. I stopped driving past Rowan's street. I stopped calling mutual friends. I let the world believe Ilara's version of me, a lonely, unstable woman who couldn't let go. I played dead. And Ilara relaxed. It started subtly. Marcus had contacts, former colleagues, compliance analysts, people who knew how to watch without being seen. He explained the plan in careful steps, like walking me through a minefield. "She's using Rowan's firm to pass funds," he said. "Small consulting contracts. Clean on the surface. Dirty underneath." "Does Rowan know?" I asked. "Not fully," Marcus replied. "She keeps him compartmentalized. Enough information to make him complicit on paper, not enough to understand the crime. That was her pattern. Love as a blindfold." "What do you need from me?" I asked. Marcus hesitated. "Access." "To what?" "To her confidence." I laughed bitterly. "She hates me." "She thinks she's beaten you," he corrected. "That makes you useful." 2 days later, Ilara called. Her tone had changed, warm, almost gracious. "I'm glad you've decided to respect boundaries," she said. "It's healthier for everyone." "I just want my son safe," I replied, carefully neutral. "And he is," she said smoothly. "Which is why I wanted to offer something generous." My stomach tightened. "There's an opportunity," she continued. "A property investment. Low risk. High return. Rowan and I were thinking of looping you in. As a gesture of reconciliation. I almost laughed. Marcus had warned me this might happen. Ilara didn't just destroy enemies, she absorbed them. Turned threats into shields. I don't have much to invest, I said. She chuckled lightly. You have more than you think. Equity. Credit. Reputation. Reputation. I'll think about it, I said. Please do, she replied. I'd hate for things to remain strained. When the call ended, Marcus exhaled sharply on the other line. She's testing you. I know, I said. And I think she wants me close. Good, he replied. That means she's confident. Confidence makes people careless. Over the next 2 weeks, I let Ilara pull me back in, slowly. We exchanged polite messages. Neutral updates. She sent photos of Rowan smiling, real smiles, not the hollow ones I'd seen before. She made sure I knew she controlled access to him. Every photo was a leash. I attended one meeting, public, professional, harmless on the surface. Ilara introduced me to 2 men, with forgettable faces and expensive watches. They spoke in jargon, praised Rowan's vision, talked about scaling. But Marcus had prepped me. The words didn't matter. The patterns did. One of the men avoided eye contact when numbers were mentioned. The other answered questions Ilara should have answered. Hierarchies blurred intentionally, accountability diluted. Classic laundering behavior. I wore a small recording device, legal under consent laws Marcus had confirmed. Ilara didn't notice. She was too busy performing. After the meeting, she pulled me aside. You see, she said warmly. We're building something real. I nodded. Rowan seems busy. Her smile tightened. He's under a lot of pressure. But he trusts me. That word again. Trust. The break came from Rowan himself. He called me late one night from a blocked number. Mom, he whispered. I don't have much time. My heart raced. Are you okay? I think something's wrong, he said. I found emails. Contracts I don't understand. Money moving through accounts I didn't authorize. I closed my eyes. Rowan, listen to me. You need to protect yourself. I'm scared, he admitted. She keeps saying it's temporary. That if I pull out now, everything collapses. That's not your burden, I said gently. That's hers. She said you were working with people who want to hurt us, he whispered. I felt anger flare. I'm working with people who want to save you. Silence. Then, quietly, I want out. Relief nearly dropped me to my knees. But I don't know how, he added. She watches everything. We'll figure it out, I said. You're not alone. Before the line went dead, he said one more thing, something that made my blood run cold. She's planning to disappear. Marcus confirmed it the next day. She's consolidating assets, he said. Liquidating. Moving money offshore. When? I asked. Soon, he replied. Very soon. That meant the window was closing. Law enforcement had enough to suspect, not enough to act. They needed a trigger, an undeniable move. A transfer too large. A mistake too greedy. Ilara was careful. But she was also arrogant. She trusts you now, Marcus said. Which means she might use you. And she did. Ilara invited me to dinner. At Rowan's house. The house that no longer felt like his. She cooked. She laughed. She poured wine and spoke about fresh starts. Rowan was quiet, eyes flicking between us like a trapped animal. After dessert, she leaned back and sighed. "I'm glad we fixed things," she said. "Family should stick together." Then she looked at me. "I need a favor." There it was. She slid a folder across the table. "I need you to sign as a guarantor," she said lightly. "Just temporary. It helps with liquidity." My pulse thundered. Marcus's voice echoed in my head. "Get it in writing. Get it recorded. Get her confident." "What happens if I don't?" I asked. She smiled. "Then things get complicated." Rowan's jaw tightened. I looked at my son, really looked. Then I picked up the pen. "I'll do it," I said. Rowan's head snapped up. "Mom." I met his eyes and gave the smallest shake of my head. "Trust me." Ilara beamed. And just like that, she crossed the line she couldn't uncross. 2 hours later, Marcus called. "We've got her," he said. That signature triggered mandatory review. And she moved too much, too fast. I sank onto my couch, trembling. "What happens now?" I asked. Marcus paused. "Now," he said, "she realizes you weren't as broken as she thought." My phone buzzed. A message from Ilara. "You lied to me." Then another. "This isn't over." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Because predators don't flee quietly. And Ilara still had one last move left. At 3:17 a.m., my front door alarm went off, and on my security camera, I saw Ilara standing warningless in the dark, smiling up at my house. The alarm screamed through my house like a living thing. 3:17 a.m. That time will stay with me forever. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. The security app loaded slowly, agonizingly, until the live feed filled the screen. Ilara stood on my porch. No coat. No bag. No panic. She was smiling. Not the soft smile she used in public. Not the polite one from my kitchen months ago. This one was sharp. Intimate. Certain. Like she knew exactly how this would end. I didn't open the door. I called Marcus first. "She's here," I whispered. "Do not engage," he said instantly. "Law enforcement is already moving. She's panicking." The doorbell rang. Once. Twice. Then Ilara's voice drifted through the wood, calm, amused. "I know you're awake." I pressed my back against the wall, heart hammering. "You always did underestimate me," she continued, conversationally. "That's why this hurts so much, isn't it?" I said nothing. "I warned you," she went on. "I told you cooperation would keep things civilized." Her tone hardened just a degree. "But you chose betrayal." The word landed heavy. I thought of Rowan. Alone in that house. Afraid. Trapped between love and truth. "I took care of him," Ilara said softly, as if reading my thoughts. "You never could." Something snapped in me then, not fear, not anger. Clarity. "You didn't take care of him," I said through the door, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "You used him." She laughed. A short, incredulous sound. "He needed direction. He needed honesty." Silence. Then her voice dropped, losing its practiced warmth. "You've ruined everything." I closed my eyes. "No. You did." Red and blue lights washed across my front lawn moments later. Ilara didn't run. She turned slowly as the patrol cars pulled up, her expression shifting, not to fear, but irritation. As if she were offended by the interruption. The officers approached cautiously. One said, "We need you to step away from the door." She looked back at my camera. At me. For the first time, I saw it, the flicker of something unguarded. Not remorse. Not regret. Loss of control. As they led her away, she called out one last thing, voice slicing through the night. "You think this makes you a hero?" I didn't answer. Because I wasn't a hero. I was a mother who finally refused to be silent. The fallout came fast. Federal charges. Asset freezes. Investigations spanning 3 countries. Names unraveled like thread pulled from a sleeve: Alina, Elaine, Ilara, each one leaving behind men hollowed out by trust misplaced. Rowan was questioned for hours. Then released. Cooperation mattered. So did timing. He came to my house the next morning, eyes red, shoulders heavy. He looked like someone who had just woken up from a long, poisoned sleep. "I'm sorry," he said, breaking down before he even reached me. I held him like I did when he was small, when storms scared him and answers were simple. "I should have listened," he sobbed. "I should have trusted you." "This isn't about blame," I whispered into his hair. "It's about survival." The truth was harsher. She had taken months of his life. His confidence. His certainty. His sense of self. But she hadn't taken his future. The court proceedings lasted nearly a year. Ilara never looked at me again. She sat perfectly still, perfectly composed, as if refusing to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing her break. Even when evidence piled high. Even when former husbands testified. Even when the judge listed crimes in a voice stripped of emotion. She was sentenced. Not as harshly as I wanted. More harshly than she expected. When it was over, Rowan asked me something that surprised me. "Why do you think she came to your house that night?" he asked. I thought about it for a long time before answering. "She wanted the last word," I said. "People like her can't stand losing the narrative." He nodded slowly. "She didn't get it." "No," I said. "She didn't. Our relationship didn't snap back into place like nothing had happened. Healing doesn't work that way." There were awkward silences. Missed calls. Therapy sessions that left us drained. Trust rebuilt inch by inch, not with grand gestures, but with consistency. He moved out of that house. Sold it. Started over. Sometimes, I still catch myself listening for alarms in the middle of the night. Sometimes, I still wonder how close I came to losing him forever. But then he calls me, just to talk. Just to ask how my day was. And I remember why I fought. I tell this story now not for sympathy, but as a warning. Love does not isolate you from everyone else who loves you. Marriage does not require silence. And anyone who asks you to choose between truth and comfort is already planning to take more than you can afford to lose. I asked when the wedding was. She smiled and said, "We got married yesterday." What she did next nearly destroyed my family. But what she underestimated, what she never saw coming, was this. A mother who refuses to disappear is the most dangerous obstacle of all.